It is I, your host Salim from Notorious Reactions, back with another banger. We're taking a look at the KGB defector Yuri Bezmenov in 1985, explaining the KGB manipulation of U.S. public perception or opinion. And if you don't know what the KGB is, it's basically the Russians' uh, internal or state committee for the country's safety. Essentially, I think it's somewhat of their version of the CIA or FBI and how they're involved in the U.S.'s public perception. So, without further ado, let's dig into it, see what we have to, or what we can get out of this, rather.
Several times before about ideological subversion. That is a phrase that I'm afraid some Americans don't fully understand. When the Soviets used the phrase ideological subversion, what do they mean by it?
Ideological subversion is the process which is legitimate, overt, and open. You can see it with your own eyes. All you have to do, all American mass media has to do, is to unplug their bananas from their ears, open up their eyes, and they can see it. There is no mystery. There is nothing to do with espionage. I know that espionage intelligence gathering looks more romantic. It sells more deodorants through the advertising, probably. That's why your Hollywood producers are so crazy about James Bond type of thrillers. But in reality, the main emphasis of the KGB is not in the area of intelligence at all. According to my opinion and opinion of many defectors of my caliber, only about 15% of time, money, and manpower is spent on espionage as such. The other 85% is a slow process, which we call either ideological subversion or active measures, активные мероприятия in the language of the KGB, or psychological warfare. What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community.
Hey, my man is coming in heavy. Isn't that what we live in right now? Isn't that the times we are living in where we will make very, very obvious concepts and easy to understand, very complicated, where we come to a people and instead of trying to fight them intellectually, meaning one country versus another one, trying to get intelligence and information about them to get one up on them, we make the average individual confused about so many things that it renders the country as a whole unable to fight. Where we can get people fighting about what is a woman, the ability to the ability of a man that puts on a wig to use the women's bathroom, right? Both sexes hating one another, not wanting to deal with one another. That's how you beat a country. You make it rot from the inside, right? And that's exactly what he's talking about. That's hot.
And their country. It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in four basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate one generation of students in the country of your enemy, exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism, American patriotism. The result you can see, most of the people who graduated in the 60s, dropouts or half-baked intellectuals, are now occupying the positions of power in the government, civil service, business, mass media, educational system. You are stuck with them. You cannot get rid of them. They are contaminated. They are programmed to think and react to certain stimuli in a certain pattern. You cannot change their mind, even if you expose them to authentic information, even if you prove that white is white and black is black, you still cannot change the basic perception and the logic of behavior. In other words, these people, the process of demoralization is complete and irreversible. To get rid society of these people, you need another 20 or 15 years to educate a new generation of patriotically minded and common sense people who would be acting in favor and in the interests of the United States society.
And yet these people who've been programmed and, as you say, in place and
Yes.
who are favorable to an opening with the Soviet concept, these are the very people who would be marked for extermination in this country?
Most of them, yes, simply because the psychological shock when they will see in future what the beautiful society of equality and social justice means in practice, obviously they will revolt. They will.
Well, you see, and what he's saying is that a lot of people that actually believe in these concept of equality, this wonderland that they so much like to talk about, in theory is applicable. In practice, it's really hard to apply. For one, it's because the world will never be fair. It'll never be an equal ground. We could try to get it as close as possible to equality, but only equality of opportunity, not of outcome. And these people, now you can actually differentiate them. You can outwardly see them because they wear uh, dyed hair. They look sexually ambiguous. They look unsure of themselves, unhealthy people. And this indoctrination comes through a lot of different ways, but mainly through the education system. That's why we call the universities leftist breeding grounds, because the teachers, like he said, they bring about and they infiltrate the minds of people with Marxist, communist, socialist type of thinking that bring about this whole problem we have right now.
They will be very unhappy, frustrated people. And the Marxist-Leninist regime does not tolerate these people. They will join the links of dissenters, dissidents. Unlike in present United States, there will be no place for dissent in future Marxist-Leninist America. Here you can get popular like Daniel Ellsberg and filthy rich like Jane Fonda for being dissident, for criticizing your Pentagon. In future, these people will be simply squashed like cockroaches. Nobody is going to pay them nothing for their beautiful, noble ideas of equality. This they don't understand, and it will be greatest shock for them, of course. The demoralization process in the United States is basically completed already. For the last 25 years, actually it's overfulfilled, because demoralization now reaches such areas where previously not even Comrade Andropov and all his experts would even dream of such a tremendous success.
What he's saying, what he means by demoralization is the dissociation of the American people with the patriotism. People don't feel proud to be Americans right now, and it's been done through successive, decades of feeding the people hatred for their nation. People they don't feel a sense of belonging. They don't want to be associated with being Americans. Now they outwardly crucify and talk ill of their own government. And this is very specific to the United States. You don't go abroad, overseas, and see other countries or citizens of China, of other. Now, this might not be the best example, but talking ill. And because that's important, it's just as if we were a family. We don't talk about our problems before our enemies or anybody else. We talk about it inside, right, between one another. We don't let the world know what's going on in our home, but the Americans do that all the time, and now that's why people don't respect them. They look like a farce to the other countries. So it's the process of taking away the pride of the people and then making them confused.
Most of it is done by Americans to Americans, thanks to lack of moral standards. As I mentioned before, exposure to true information does not matter anymore. A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him. Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom. When a military boot crashes then he will understand, but not before that. That's the tragedy.
I'm a woman. Look at me. Look at my square-shaped jaw, right? On my Adam's apple. But I'm a woman. This is what it is. And you can show me the fact, like the factual facts, that I'm not a woman, but yet, look, I have the right to be whatever I want. You know, I could be a white lesbian for all I care, because whatever I feel like I am, then I am, right? That's what he's talking about. You can show me the facts, but I'll still look away.
Tragic of the situation of demoralization. So basically, America is stuck with demoralization. And unless, even if you start right now, here, this minute, you start educating new generation of Americans, it will still take you 15 to 20 years to turn the tide of ideological perception of reality back to normal.
Probably even more now, because we're so far gone that for the pendulum to swing, and I speak as somebody looking from the outside looking in, because I'm not American, but I can see the degradation. More than 20 years, bro. More. Because the people in power now have made the citizens to buy into this ludicrous ideology so much that for the tides to be reversed, it'll take a tremendous amount of effort. Tremendous. Because Americans are so good at propagating their ideas that now it's gone overboard, right? It reached over the pond to the UK and other countries, even Canada.
Normalcy and patriotism. The next stage is destabilization. This time, subverter does not care about your ideas and the patterns of your consumption. Whether you eat junk food and get fat and flabby, it doesn't matter anymore. This time, and it takes only from 2 to 5 years to destabilize a nation. It's what matters is essentials: economy, foreign relations, defense systems. And you can see it quite clearly that in some areas, in such sensitive areas as defense and economy, the influence of Marxist-Leninist ideas in the United States is absolutely fantastic. I could never believe it 14 years ago when I landed in this part of the world, that the process will go that fast.
And you know what's crazy is this interview has been available from now what about 37 years or even more, and its presence makes no difference because that's how strong the indoctrination is. They could show us that what's happening has been planned carefully, systematically, and been implemented step by step, and it still wouldn't change anything. But it does raise a point. It does raise interest into getting to know what the Marxist strategies or thought processes of ways of thinking is, and that way you can learn to defend yourself and to spot uh, all these things in plain sight, hidden in plain sight. Now we're gonna leave it at that. If you fuck with the content, subscribe, share, like the video for more. And once again, road to 1,000 subs. I will see you next time. Peace.